Welcome, everybody. My name is George Rhigas, and I'm your newest host of the Brute Training Podcast. I'm from Australia. I've been an avid CrossFitter for the last almost decade, and I've been part of the Brute family for the last few years. To kick us off, we've got Coach Matt and Coach Elle talking through the Rogue Invitational events. So without further ado, let's jump in. Gentlemen, welcome. How are you both feeling?
I'm feeling fine. This fool just came in yesterday morning. So,
Savage. Matt,
yeah.
you got in
I
a couple of
stayed up-
days ago?
Yeah. He's on 24 hours right now. I got in here on Monday. It's Thursday today.
Yeah, today's Thursday.
Thursday in Europe. I'm over in Australia, so it's Thursday night. What's the general vibe of the place? I know it's this season has been well documented that the athletes are competing a lot, and I suppose what I wanted some insight on was, do you feel that this is probably taking second place to the games in regards to how seriously the athletes are approaching this weekend?
I think it's kind of split. So for a lot of these athletes that grew up in the sport, this is the one competition that they look forward to, I would say, second to the games. You know, there's a certain energy to this competition out here where it just feels cool, to be invited out to the Rogue Invitational is something that a lot of people have on their checklist. And so, there's kind of this laid back feel right now, but just like any competition, the moment it kicks off and we're in the warm up area for the first event, it's, everyone's
Game
ready.
on. Right? Yeah. Awesome. Well, today we're going to break down the events that we have so far. We got 6 out of the 9 available to us over 3 days. Just initially, what are your thoughts on 3 events per day for 3 days?
I think they've kept that same format for like a few years. I think minus a couple of random years, like it's been that format of like 3 events per day. I honestly I like it. I think it's good coming in like knowing like what you have to do. I think two is maybe not enough for like this big of a competition. So to be able to get like 9 tests without having to go 4 days of competition is probably like spot on. And then they also have like a good mixture of like long, short, heavy, and like the time domains per day are pretty different. So you're not coming in doing like 3 20-minute workouts on the same day.
Yeah, I get you. I think it looks like from the outside looking in, it looks like it's going to be a pretty chunky weekend for all the athletes competing. From the outside looking, even more so than the games, perhaps. Like there's a couple of workouts that look like they're going to give people the DOMs and they'll be real sore going into Sunday. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at even day one with the back squats on the third event, 4 rounds, 10 back squat, 315 for the guys, 225 for the ladies. Just in consideration of that workout plus 2 hinging movements. And then fast forward to the third day where they have more of a speed workout in the overhead squat and burpee workout. I think that is going to play a pretty big factor. Plus, traditionally speaking, we typically see a running workout on day one, especially for a lot of events. Rogue has had it the last 3 or 4 years from what I can remember. And so far, what we know is that there isn't a running workout per se, but there's information about something outside on Sunday. So that's all we know. They haven't given any sort of insight on movements or time domain, but just that they have to be wearing warm clothes on Sunday because it's going to be something outside. So it'd be interesting to see how things go down. If it is a running workout, they're not going to have fresh legs for that one. So it's a little bit different than years past.
Yeah, that is super odd. I think like most comps have it as a big part of day one. Obviously, it's usually the longer test. So I think seeing how that'll play out, like you said, with the extra DOMs and soreness, depending what it is. Like it might be a sprint, it might be something long, but we'll see when that comes out. So going to event 1, we've got 160 double unders, 80 meter handstand walk, 60 GHD sit-ups, 40 box jump over, 20/16 log bar muscle ups. Now, the handstand walk, I'm assuming there's nothing funky with that. And also the box jumps is undisclosed height. So is there any other, or what's your initial thoughts? And if you've got any other information, I'd love to hear it.
I think starting with like the heavy rope, 160 reps with the heavy rope, it's going to come down to like, one, who has the capacity to go as close to unbroken on those 160 reps. I think it'll be easier on the male side versus the female side. You might see maybe some more breaks. The whole workout, I think what's going to happen is whatever place you come in, once you get to the log, you'll probably just stay there. I think them putting the log at the end kind of like levels the playing field. So even if you're better at the log, having to do it last kind of like limits that advantage that you may have if you're like more efficient at it. I think you might see a couple people start off with like maybe 3, 4 unbroken and then singles from there, which that's honestly like the right move. So I'm biased, but I'm glad the log is last for Jason.
Understandable.
Yeah, that was best case scenario right there.
And do we think, have they told us what height the box is for the jump over?
Yeah, it's just 24-20. Really
Okay,
basic.
cool. So it's nothing high or crazy.
Mm-mm.
But 60 GHDs, their midline is going to be a bit toast, assuming they're going to all be going ham fast. And then having the box jump overs. Yeah, I think you're right with that. In regards to it being a separator on the log, time wise, it's a tough one to.
I do think they kind of like made it a little bit. They kind of slowed the workout down a bit. Just having the GHD, you can't have your knees bent where people go super fast. So they're gonna have to do it the traditional way, and then they're making them step down on the box. So that kind of like limits how fast you can go there. It's like you're not gonna get there with like your heart rate through the roof per se, but you'll definitely have like some fatigue going into the last part.
And have they said if there a time cap on this one?
We never look at time caps.
Yeah, well.
I was looking for that to help me to work out how long I think it's going to take someone.
Not too worried about.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I reckon you got.
I think the way the workout's designed, it's going to be a race on that log. So you're going to have some entertaining, visuals watching these athletes attack those 20 and 16. But I think you're spot on. The person that gets the log, potentially, the person that gets the log first should be able to scoot through and finish within the like top 3.
So we're looking at probably like 2 minutes for the double unders, another 3 minutes for the handstand walk. Is that too much? It's 5. GHD 7, 8.5. So do we reckon that a sub 10 would be moving pretty quick?
I think it's possible. I think it's going to be within that range.
Yeah.
that 10 minute range.
Nice.
It's going to be a good race between the boys. I know both Jason and James are really strong in these movements. And both of them are fairly confident on that log bar muscle up.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, so moving on. Oh, sorry.
How fast would you do it?
How fast would I do it? If I could do it in under 12, I reckon I'd be happy. I reckon getting to those, I've never done a log bar muscle up.
Yeah.
So getting to those, I reckon, to get real slow. Like the rest of stuff we do all the time, or anyone who does CrossFit at a semi decent level does pretty regularly. But the uniqueness of that log bar muscle up, especially if you've never done it before, I think that's like a deal breaker. Like that could be 4 minutes for someone if they're doing singles with break in between. And so I reckon if I could get it done in 12 minutes, I'd be pretty proud of myself.
I like it.
Individual event 2, we have William Wallace, 3 rounds, 5 log clean and press, 215 pounds for the men and 150 pounds for the women, 40-foot yoke carry of undisclosed weight, and 1 power stair, which I'm assuming is a similar power stair to that they've had in the past, where you deadlift the apparatus up onto a step every round.
So basically with this one, 5 log clean and press, as you would see traditionally, like a strongman log. The 40-foot yoke carry is 665 for the men.
605.
605. 445 for the ladies.
Yeah.
And then the power stair. So there's going to be, I don't know what it's called, but there's 3 of those weights.
Yep.
In 3 steps. So they're going to grab 1 weight. I think the ladies are 225.
Yeah.
And the men are 300. So they're going to grab 1, bring it over to the stairs, stack it on top, grab the other on the next round.
The next, yeah.
All right. And then the next round, the other one. And then the third round will be the last weight that they place on, and they're going to hit the timer. So we saw that in the dual last year. So they're going to bring it back, just not in the dual setting. With this one right here, it's if we see anyone go touch and go on that log, that's going to be an incredible sight to see. And I don't think would be the smartest thing to do, but 5 singles on the log clean and press, 40-foot yoke carry. I think the combination between the 3 movements, the yoke carry is going to be something on the last round where I think people will be stopping halfway through. So basically they're going to take the yoke forward, stair, come back to the log, take the yoke back, clean, and then on the last round they'll finally take the yoke back to the stairs and then climb up the stairs. So first 2 rounds I anticipate the yoke going unbroken. Last round I can see people stopping on the yoke, shaking it out, and then finishing through. As far
flying
as
a bit too close to the sun.
Yeah. As far as the time goes, it's really hard to know on this one. Just for the sake of how slow the yoke will be, I don't see the power stair being a big issue. Kind of like what you mentioned before, it might be a little like chunky going up those stairs, but besides that, I think it should be a pretty smooth movement of the log clean and press at 215 and 150 pounds.
I think for the spectators,
no,
I think sub 5. Whew.
No, I don't think so. I think I do believe the first round would be much faster than the second and third round. I'm going to say 7-ish.
7?
Yeah.
I think, the cool part about this one is, especially from a spectator's point of view, not so much from a coach's point of view, because obviously you guys want to have as many variables as locked in as possible. But these sorts of workouts are super entertaining because it's got elements where people don't do it all the time. So there's a lot of CrossFit events where it's almost a foregone conclusion bar people executing correctly in regards to knowing who's going to finish where. Whereas stuff like this, I think, is really cool because there's a big element of the unknown. Like even the fact that we're talking about, if this was 5 clean and jerks, even at a heavier weight, we would know pretty much exactly how long it would take. So it adds that element of mystery, which I find entertaining. I know it's probably not the best thing from a coach's perspective.
No, I like that. I think it's cool to see like an event that you could potentially do as like in like your normal CrossFit class, but also it's really cool to see like stuff that you can't even fathom doing. It's like I can't even like put myself in that position
Mhm.
because it's like so difficult, or these movements are like so challenging that like you can't even put yourself there. And that's also cool to see.
Yeah. And on top of that, it'll be interesting when you're watching it, watch the technique of the log,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not a clean and jerk. It's not a traditional clean and jerk where, the bar's away from your body. It's strongman inspired. So it's almost this rolling effect up to the body. And then I don't know if they'll have it, but if you're watching the athletes from a side perspective, they're actually extended through thoracic and staring at the ceiling, right? Because that's the only way they can fit this round log on their body and keep it over top of the middle of their foot to be able to get that weight overhead. So there's little pieces like what you mentioned. Some of these athletes have never even picked up a log. So in the warm-up area, it's going to be the first time holding onto that log and learning how to do the movement in the warm-up area. Same thing that goes for the power stair too. Last year was the first time that they did it. So the athletes that are coming back from last year have that experience already. And even more so, the athletes that did the heavy log workout in Texas, 2-3 years ago, they have the experience of knowing what it feels like to have that heavy log on their body and going through that technique. So they're definitely at an advantage when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, I think look, to try and do this one at the gym, it would take me an hour to set it up, let alone do the workout. But yeah, it'll be cool. And like I said, not knowing who's going to win is something I definitely enjoy. So we'll see who comes out on top on that one. Individual event.
Sub
Sorry,
5.
go. Sub 5?
I say
right.
we see one sub 5. So I'm thinking 5 log press, like 40 seconds. The yoke carry, that's like 20, 30 seconds. And then the power stair is like, what, 10, 12 seconds? It's the transitions.
Transition time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the transition.
And I think you're right. If someone works all those elements out and sort of finds the groove, even if it is difficult, I think you're definitely onto something, it being tangible, that's possible. But it's just if they can work it out fast enough and then under fatigue and not have the drop off be too big. But hey, I'd love to see someone go sub 5. But time will tell. Individual event 3, for me, this looks like the worst and most painful event of the weekend by far. We got 4 rounds of 10 back squat at 315 for the men and 225 for the women, 10 dumbbell snatch at 170, and then 10 sandbag cleans at 150 and 100, which seems light compared to the heavy 2 other movements. But yeah, this looks like it's going to wreck some people. Like my glutes are sore just reading it.
Yeah, I think looking at it, the interference from workout number 2 might play a role in like people's strategy going into that one. There's probably going to be a lot of core and posterior chain fatigue going into it, and then the whole workout is core and posterior chain. So it's the same muscle group. You're probably going to be, your CNS is going to be taxed from the yoke carry, the log press before. So on paper, it looks simple, like something that you can just go, oh, I'll just do these squats and I'll do these dumbbell snatches and then these sandbag cleans. But doing the workout's going to feel very different. And I think there's probably going to be a lot of standing around and like kind of like just trying to keep yourself from blowing up. I would say the athletes that are smart enough to break up the squats, even if you can do it unbroken, break up the squats. I would honestly probably say do singles on the snatches just to keep yourself moving, and then kind of save that burst for the later rounds, like the 3rd or the 4th round. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I think if you can treat it like a true chipper and just kind of keep yourself chipping away at the workout, even if you're not moving super fast, but you keep yourself moving, that's going to make a big difference.
Do you think that people are going to have to try to go unbroken for most of those back squats?
I think there's maybe like 5 guys here that have that ability. Like they're percentage wise that weight is so light for them. But I think most of the field is going to break up the squats.
It's the type of workout where you got to have your blinders on. You have to run
Yeah.
your race. Don't pay attention to those 5 guys, that are scooting out early, especially on the first round of, 10 unbroken. It's going to be a cool balance watching it, right? There's going to be guys that can scoot through the back squats quickly, and women per se. Dumbbell snatch, they'll move a little bit slower, and then other guys will start to catch them on the dumbbell snatch, and the same thing with the clean. So it'll kind of be this this back and forth. Ultimately, you're breathing really, really hard in this workout. Like, yes, it's tough because it's a lot of posterior chain, what El mentioned, but also there's a lot of bracing. So if you're holding your breath to brace and standing up, there's pretty much every movement on here, you're kind of bracing in one way or another. And I don't think there's a lot of workouts that we see in competition, specifically, if we consider semifinals and even the CrossFit Games, there's not a lot of workouts that are designed like this where you're forced to brace on a lot of movements. So you're going to see these athletes moving a lot slower. It might be a little bit more boring to watch when you're going to like round 3 and round 4, but it is an element where these athletes are going to be breathing very, very hard, just for the simple fact of having to control that breathing, just to be able to lift the movement,
Do you think the 315 is the right equivalent to 225? Or do you think like 225 is more difficult for females than 315 is for guys?
I think every single year, I think the women need to be lifting more weight.
You think the women need more?
Yeah, right. So
what would you do?
Like 100 pounds for guys feels heavier than 70 pounds for ladies.
Yeah,
and it's not off by much, right? I think the ladies should be at like 75, 80 pounds. For this one, again, it's not off by much. I think the ladies should be around like 240.
240?
Yeah, or bringing the boys down to like 305, 300. Keep the ladies at 225, bring the boys down to 300, 305. I don't think we can use the same type of percentages that we've seen in the past, classically speaking. Was it like 60%? 70% of like the boys is what the women are lifting, because the women are so strong now.
I think 225 is too heavy for the women compared to 315. Like, I think
really,
a guy doing like 315 for like 20 is like, oh, that's easy. But a girl doing 225 for the strongest girl doing 225 for 20 is like more difficult.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, I don't know. I happen to love it for Emma. So if we could go a little bit heavier, I'd be okay with that one. But 225, it's going to be a very tough workout.
Yeah,
for both of them. And if they're going into like this weekend thinking, okay, I'm going to go unbroken, that's wild to me. That is just absolutely wild, especially after event 2.
Yeah, I think event 2 is like, I think there's somebody thinking right now I'm going to go unbroken, and then after event 2, then we're like, yo, I'm breaking these up.
Yeah. They're going to be paying some tax after event 2, that's for sure.
For sure.
But I think Matt, I agree with you on I think 305 or 300. I'm always converting everything back to kilos, but I think 305, just when I looked at it, I thought to myself, oh, it seems slightly heavier for the guys than for the girls. I don't know whether that's because girls are generally better at cycling and repping out higher percentages than guys can be sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you've been focusing on a lot of battery work, this is classic battery work right here. Even I would even say like even with the back squat, right? Yeah, like we don't typically say battery work with back squat, but it's the case. You do 6 and 4, you're waiting for the energy to come back so you can hit that last 4. And so at the very least, if you've been practicing battery work, your body has the awareness of, all right, we're hitting this energy, resting, repeat.
And I think this has the potential to have the biggest spread of time of the weekend, in my opinion, in regards to someone who nails it to someone who really struggles. I think there's going to be a massive spread across the field. So moving on from that hot tamale, we move on to Saturday. Event 4, the crux. We got 20/18 calorie row, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3 bench press, and 1 horizontal pegboard. So I'm assuming it would go for the men 20, 15, 1, 20, 12, 1, so on and so forth. Is that correct?
Yeah, they'll always start with the calorie row.
Yeah.
This one looks like pretty traditional push-pull upper body pump session.
Yeah. It gets very untraditional really quick. So they actually got weighed out for this one. So for the men, their body weight is their bench press.
Okay.
And then I believe for the women, I don't know what the exact percentage is
I think it was like 70
of their body weight as well.
70 or 75%.
Right. Yeah. So a prime example is like this. James is going to be benching 215.
Yep.
Jason's going to be at 230.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And there's
That's
other
such a
athletes that are
big
going to be
difference.
benching 195.
Yeah.
And so that right there is going to be, that's the little caveat of this workout. You can have a strong bench. Like,
See, I get it. I understand what they're doing. I'm biased here. I'll preface that, but I don't know if I would put it in a mixed piece like this, where it's like, okay, make them put a vest on for the horizontal pegboard. If you're gonna use body weight for bench press, make it level across the board. So it's like hard for me to go, oh, that's fair. Like you weigh more, so you should have a stronger bench. But then have a body weight only movement, where you're being rewarded for being lighter on the gymnastics and on the bench press as well. So my brain just wants to go, that's not fair. But I get it. It's fun to see. But I would have had that with like I think Linda is a better example of like using body weight because there's no gymnastics in there. I think it's hard to have the gymnastics movement and something that is relative to your body weight, like on the bench press.
Well, it doesn't really equalize the workout. It might equalize and balance out the weekend, but I think you're right there, El. It actually leans it even more to the lighter body weight athlete. So it's like it's almost doubling down as trying to provide some balance amongst the other workouts, because in and of itself, it is quite unbalanced because it's rewarding being lighter. And then obviously the pegboard being lighter is always going to be, especially horizontal, is always going to be easier. The row at this level is much of a muchness, especially in this context. So I think you're actually right in that. It's sort of where it's going to affect the other workouts to work out if it's like truly
So, like,
balancing the weekend.
Balances out like day one being so heavy.
Yeah, I think so. Because you're right. If you look at it in isolation, it is unbalanced.
the other group of people that have an advantage here are the people that showed up last year and haven't played with the lateral pegboard.
Yeah.
100%.
You're gonna see a lot of the boys that are very smooth now on that pegboard. And then even on the women's side, I think you're gonna see a little less smoothness on that pegboard. I think there's gonna be a lot more females that are finding it harder to get through that lateral pegboard, just for the sake of having hands on it before.
Yeah.
We see it on Instagram all the time with, you see a lot more of the top men utilizing a lateral pegboard in their training and a lot less of the ladies getting hands on the lateral pegboard. So for the ladies, the pegboard will mean it a little bit more. I don't think there's any sort of like
no one stands out.
No one's gonna stand. Yeah, and now granted, like Laura did great last year on the lateral pegboard.
Ariel looked good.
Yeah, Ariel looked good at the end of it last year.
Ariel, sorry.
Yeah, and then what was her name from? She just went over to HWPO with Butler. Kazan.
Yeah.
She did well on it last year too. So I think that'll be a good race between those three ladies. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's going to be a tough bench for the bigger guys.
The bench matters for the girls?
Hell no.
Like
These girls are benching like 110, 120.
Yeah.
It's like, yes. All right. So we practiced something similar to this, and Emma went unbroken on the bench at 120, and she's going to be doing 110. Right. So I'm content with that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm okay with that. Now the thing I'm worried about is this lateral pegboard. This is her first time getting hands on a lateral pegboard.
Yeah.
Right. So for her, it's listen to the body, listen to the grip very specifically. Is the grip ready to go? Kind of like a legless rope climb. The only difference here is that you have to be so in tune with your body signs as you're going across, and how much rest do you need? Because all these athletes know how much rest they need when they do a legless rope climb. The lateral pegboard's different because one trip could take 30 seconds, and when you're exhausted, that trip could take a minute, and that is rough.
Yeah.
Is it with the horizontal pegboard? Is it up and back is one rep, or is it just up?
Just up.
Just up.
Yeah, or down.
Just down. Yeah. One length,
left or right, whichever way.
Yeah. So with this one, we got say 4 to 5 minutes of rowing. The bench presses, I mean, if you're repping them out, they could be done real quick.
They'll be quick,
if you're able to.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pegboard just depends if you fall apart or not. But I reckon you could probably find someone go sub 8 on this, I think, if they're cooking.
Yeah, I can see like 8 to like 11 minutes.
Yeah.
So
8
we'll
seems
see.
tough.
I think we'll see one of the boys go around 8 minutes, and then on the women's side, I think it'll be closer to like 10 and a half as far as like top times.
Yeah, I think Laura Horvath should do pretty well in this one.
Yeah,
like she minced the horizontal pegboard last year.
Sure.
And I can't imagine the bench will be heavy, and the row's going to be no issues. One thing I've heard about the dual is that they're giving, they haven't given us any details, but we do know that it's a shorter time window than in years past. So whether that's going to be a different format, or I can't imagine the workouts themselves are going to be shorter, but maybe they're going to cull people differently. But the total window of time is shorter than it has been in previous years. So I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that, but that's one nugget.
We'll know more information about that on Friday, but it's good to hear that's shorter because
it takes a while.
Yeah, it could be tough to sit through.
And you're sitting there it's just a lot of waiting time mainly, isn't it? Really. Individual event 6, pay the piper, buy in 1,000 meter ski into 12.9631, wall facing handstand push-ups and deadlifts at undisclosed weight. Do you guys know what the deadlift weight is, and if there is a deficit of any kind for the wall facing?
No, they haven't said anything on that one. But just looking at the rep scheme itself, I think it would be too easy to have just regular wall facing, because I think everyone breezes through that pretty easily. So I think the wall facing will be some form of deficit. And I do believe the barbell on the deadlift will be heavy also. I could see them doing like a non-traditional deadlift, whether that's a deficit deadlift or I don't think they would do sumo. No. But I think there's a twist coming with that workout. It seems too simple to just be regular wall facing and a 225 deadlift per se.
Could it be a case of like one of those wheelbarrow deadlifts, or like they whip out some funky apparatus potentially?
Yeah, like something that the strongmen use for pulling. I could see that.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the rep scheme, specifically the 6-3-1, that starts to lean towards a heavier
Like a ladder.
deadlift. Yeah. And I can agree. I hope it's deficit wall facing handstand push up straight up. But the deadlift, if my 2 cents, if it's a deficit wall facing handstand push up, I think it'll be a traditional deadlift. If it's not, if it's a normal wall facing handstand push up, I think we'll see something funky, and probably a little bit heavier. Because there is a 1,000-meter ski buy-in, it's telling me that you're going to be moving really, really quick. Right. So
Like they wanted to set up.
yeah, like they
I
want to
agree,
set something up where you're just like, you're going to be doing the next portion fast, so let's slow you down somehow. And that's kind of how I'm seeing it. So, to me, with that, I kind of think normal wall facing handstand push up and then somewhat of a heavier deadlift, because they're forcing you to speed through that first half.
Do you think they could do like a ladder where the weight goes up each round, and then the wall facing the deficit gets bigger each round? That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'd be able to see the deficit getting bigger, but I do think a ladder on the deadlift is actually, like, the way the reps lean.
Yeah.
I can see it potentially happen. Like one rep at, X amount of weight at the end I think it's very much possible, because it's just one rep and then just hit the buzzer.
Right.
I think the left of center way of looking at it potentially is that, in my eyes, it might be normal wall facing, and then it might not actually be as heavy a deadlift as we're thinking. And the only reason I say that is because, like you said, Matt, the 1,000-meter ski, if it's anything too crazy, that ski becomes sort of a mail it in, and everyone's going to ski within 5 seconds of each other and not make much difference. Whereas if that second part is, well, quote unquote, easier, then people are going to absolutely hammer the ski and make it real nasty.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's like an unbroken, as fast as you can workout.
Yeah. They call it pay the piper, but I can guarantee it's a play on Diane. Right.
Okay.
Where it's just a play on Diane wall facing handstand push up with a buy-in. Because Diane's already a tough workout as it is, as you would know, doing the semifinal last year in Australia.
100%.
So if you throw in a 1,000-meter skier, and kind of what you mentioned, it doesn't make any sense. If the weight is so heavy, and people are going to be skiing, the difference between 3 seconds of each other.
Yeah, it's going to make no difference.
3-second difference is, it does make a difference, but I think for the show portion, I think it might be something rather quick where they can go unbroken through the deads and watch people move fast through the wall facing handstand push up.
Indeed. So,
was that 33 total reps?
21, 27, 31. Going into Sunday. Sorry, go on.
Based on the first,
just based on it being Rogue, I'm like, there's no way that's it.
but there's been like somewhat longer workouts, and then I think Sunday to start will be a long one, like a long aerobic one.
Or they could do the prerequisite of the buy-in having to be completed in a certain time.
I hope so.
So
I really hope so.
Sub 310 1K.
Yeah, because all three of
that's
our
nasty. That's really nasty. Yeah, to hold a 135 and then go into that would be painful. Sunday is pretty mysterious so far. We've only got one event, which is event 8, double boogie, which basically tells us 10 rounds of 8 overhead squat and 6 burpees over the bar, with no information about how heavy it is or anything like that. So I suppose we can speculate whether it's going to be light and quick the whole workout, or whether that overhead squat is actually going to be a meaningful weight. But that's a classic CrossFit workout. That'll be tough whichever way it cuts.
So event 7 is the event that will be done outside. That's
Okay.
the only information we know so far is that it's an outside event. The event 8, I can see it being, moderately light, something closer to like a 105.85 or 115.95. Yeah, and that's going to be at 3, 2, 1, go. Your foot is all the way down on the gas, and you're not going to let up until you complete that 10th round.
Have they
closer to 135 or like 95?
I think closer to 95. Men is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because of the 80 reps.
Yeah, that, and it's like we haven't, so far, what we know, we haven't seen a light barbell yet, and we haven't seen them just like fly through things.
Okay, so with that being said, go back to the ski workout. What's the likelihood that they're both light?
So light being like 220, like 225 men, like 155.
Yeah, like not like 300 plus for male.
Yeah.
And then having them go like 95 again after going, okay, this is just a play on Diane.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is just similar, like short sprint.
Yeah. I think it will be closer to Diane weight because of the pulling from day one. A lot of the athletes, you're going to hear it in the back.
Yeah,
they're going to be like, oh, deadlifts, here we go. Like, our ass cheeks are done for right now. Our hamstrings, our low back, we don't have one. So I don't know. That's, two different perspectives on it, but that's kind of how I see it. And then this one just being a squatting movement,
I can see them go like 155.
On the overhead squat.
That's nasty. That's really nasty.
For 80 reps?
Yeah. I mean, if you do double Grace or double Isabel, which that number is like not that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you do it at 135. So now there's no hinging. You're just squatting and stabilizing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think at 95, the risk of like people going so fast and having so many no reps kind of like makes it easier on the judges of like, okay, at least at 135, they're going to have to like control it, stand up all the way. I can see 135.
That's wild.
135?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 80 reps? I mean, a range would be like 115 to 135 for the men.
Because it's not a lot of time. Like the 6 burpees, you're going to be just back on the bar real quick.
That's deadly. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's to be more of a sprint. And if it's a sprint workout, I think we see like a sub like 430 through the rounds.
Yeah.
And then if it's a heavier workout, it could be close to like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it's a quick one, the level would be trying to keep it to those 30-second rounds, like so you said. And then,
how many do we have so far that are like sub 5?
Well, the duel, if we want to count that as being a lot of sub 5s, go from the top. Event 1 won't be. Event 2 could be, if we're backing in one of the guys to go ham there. Event 3, definitely not.
So far, 2 sub 5-ish, sub 6 workouts.
Yeah, and then everything else will be like 8 to like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And then a longer one, I'm guessing, on the last set.
Will be this Granite City one.
It's like shorter too, right?
Yeah.
Usually they make that one like sub 4.
Yeah, some sort of sprint on it.
Yeah.
Which, that's the only thing that would make it odd to have sprint and sprint back to back. I'm assuming this one's going to be, 15 or hopefully 20 minutes plus, but at least 15 minutes plus for this Granite City.
Be a nice day if it was today.
Yeah.
If they're out there this morning.
Is it cold there at the moment?
Today's the warmest day, and it's 52.
I want to say it's like 8 for you guys. Like 52. Roughly like 8, 9.
Yeah.
I did the math on 48 the other day, so
Beautiful, guys. Well, thank you for joining me for that and giving all the Brute family and the greater CrossFit community a insight into your brains and how you're tackling this weekend. I'm sure everyone's going to be watching along, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, man.